that I'm doing so. All right, Claire, now.
Okay, all right. So just a quick recap. There's two types of menorahs and two names for them because as Jews, we have to have, a lot of names for things. The 7-branch menorah that was in the first temple had a central lamp and 6 branches, 3 on each side, and then a higher one. It was to be fashioned from pure gold, and pure olive oil would burn. This is the menorah that was lit with enough oil for 1 day and miraculously burned for 8 days while the purified oil was being made. And this menorah has become the symbol for the Jewish people. The Hanukkah menorah, or Hanukkah, is a 9-branch lamp, 4 holders on each side, plus the shamas, which is on a different plane than the other holders. The earliest Hanukkah menorah were little lamps of clay or stone with an opening on the top to pour in the oil and a small spout in the front to light the wick. As the holiday progressed, more lamps would be lit. On Hanukkah, these lamps were placed at the entrance to the home on a specially constructed stand or in a niche in front of the wall, in the wall. Even today, in the old city of Jerusalem, you can still see these niches for Hanukkah menorahs. The historian Josephus, writing around 70 CE, was the first to call this holiday the Festival of Lights. And the Talmud describes the Hanukkah miracle for the first time, explaining why Hanukkah menorahs are lit and how the 1-day supply lasted for 8 days. The rabbis enacted regulations listing permissible oils and the order in which the candles were to be lit. As Rabbi Danielle just said, there were 2 different schools of thought. One school said that you should light all 8 on the first day and then subsequently get down to 1. But I think what Danielle said is so beautiful that, we're building up the light as we go. So the Hillel school ruled that 1 candle should be lit on the first day and 1 added each day, and they prevailed. And over the years, the 9-branched Hanukkah menorahs evolved from clay lamps to works of ritual art. In 13th century Spain, new Hanukkahs appeared made of various metals. This model spread from Spain to the rest of the Jewish world. Some still using oil, and over the years, some candles. In modern times, the menorahs come in many styles, many materials, and often reflect the art and architecture of the country where the Jews live throughout the diaspora. If you're looking to see some very old menorahs, the Jewish Museum in New York, jewishmuseum.org, has the largest collection of Hanukkah lamps in the world, dating back to the 1600s. Today, the Hanukkah has become a cherished possession in many homes. Maimonides, this is good for those of you who like to collect menorahs, the 12th century philosopher, wrote that it is desirable to light a multitude of candelabras and that each person should own not just a single menorah, but one for each night of the holiday. The first Hanukkah celebration at the White House occurred during the Truman administration. The menorah was presented to Truman by David Ben-Gurion and dates back to 1767. But the most valuable menorah in a personal collection is the one that holds a piece of your own history. Study it closely. The reflections that peer back at you keep memories and hope alive. And now I'd like to introduce songwriter and children's book author, Joni Klein-Higger, to help us bring in the third night of Hanukkah. Joni is an award-winning children's book author, a songwriter, a musical theater playwright. Some of you may know her books, 10 Tzedakah Pennies, Rainbow of Friendship, and Barnyard Bubby's Hanukkah, which she co-wrote with CBS congregant Barbara Scharf, who is here with us tonight.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Joni.
Hey, Barb. Joni's also a recipient of the Children's Library Classics Gold Award for her middle grade novel, Colby Ryan Harris is Officially Fat. And she won the 2015 Creative Child Magazine Book of the Year Award for her picture book, Rainbow of Friendship. Her songs have been recorded by various artists, have been featured in motion pictures, and her children's songs and musicals can be heard ringing through the halls of preschools, elementary schools, and middle schools across the country. But here at CBS, she was known as Miss Joni. She was our music teacher at the religious school and the Kent JCC for many years. She was a creator of a whole host of musical programs for our congregation, including our religious school holiday programs, CBS sisterhood programs, Purim galas, and her original Purim spiels, which I was honored to be a part of, several of them. And she also actually wrote a song for me for my 70th birthday. She and Barbara wrote a song for me. And I also want to mention that if you have a grandchild or a child who goes to Brooker Creek or Curlew Creek, the songs, the school songs that those children sing were written by Joni. So take it away, Joni. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to say thank you all for being here tonight. I just love spending the holidays with my family and my congregation Beth Shalom family. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Happy Hanukkah.
So Joni, I know your dad worked at 1650 Broadway in New York City, which is the building where Carole King wrote her songs, and Don Kirshner, Isley Brothers, Tiny Tim, and many other entertainers walked through the doors. But you also have a family history filled with interesting and well-known characters. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I can. My father's grandfather was Cantor Baruch Shore, who was a well-known cantor. He was also a composer, and he wrote an operetta called Samson and Delilah.
Now, I did a little research on Baruch Shore, and I found out that he was a cantor in Lemberg, Poland, which happens to be where parts of my family are from, and that he died while he was officiating on the last night of Yom Kippur.
I believe he was saying the Shema, right, Dad? Was he saying the Shema? I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, what a way to go, right?
All right. And also your mother, Ellie Klein, who's with us tonight, also comes from an interesting line of people in the entertainment industry. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So my mother comes from more of a musical theater background. She was related to Zira Mostel and to Howard Da Silva and Betty Comden, who wrote It's a Wonderful Town and many other great musicals and songs.
Okay.
And she played the mean piano. You should hear my mother play Mizzaloo on the piano. Amazing.
Okay, one of these days.
And you should know that my father will never admit it, but he is a songwriter. And I once heard a song that he wrote for my mother that was absolutely beautiful. So I get it from both sides. Sorry, Dad, I had
So I know that you have spoken about your father's mother, Rose Klein Rabinowitz, who was Baruch Shore's granddaughter. So please tell us a little bit about Grandma Rose.
I'd be happy to. First of all, today is my grandfather's yahrzeit. So I'm like, I just put two and two together that I'm talking about Grandma Rose tonight. And it just makes me really happy that I could bring her into this on this special night too. So anyway, so Grandma Rose was an absolutely amazing woman. Several people on here knew my grandma. And she not only was she beautiful and kind and altruistic, she was just an amazing person who could belt out a tune like no one else I've ever heard. Seriously, she used to get up on the tables in her 80s at bar mitzvahs and be singing Toot Toot Tootsie and the Ha Ha song, and wonderful. She was just wonderful. She also taught me how to sing and how to harmonize. And an interesting little story about my grandma is when she was 16 years old, she tried out for the Yiddish theater. And she was chosen as Molly Piccon's understudy for the show, I believe it was Yussel. And her uncle pulled her out and said, "No nice girl belongs in the theater." So that was the end of her professional musical career. But she did go on to do a lot of charitable work, putting on performances all over the East Coast of Florida. And she was really an amazing woman.
So I always remember this song that you wrote for your grandmother, Rose. that you played one time at a sisterhood function. So
Right.
could you please sing it for us?
Sure, sure. So I also write musical theater, and this was a show I was working on, and it was called The Journey. And this song I wrote really as a tribute to my grandma because she was just so amazing, and I had to include something about who she was. So in the show, there are women with beehives. She had the big bouffant, like a lot of the women from that generation, and the women in the background are all wearing bouffants, and the characters wearing a bouffant. And the song is called You Gotta Live, You Gotta Give, and Be the Best You Can Be. And it goes like this. Oh, I remember sitting on my Granny Rose's right knee. I still can recall those words of wisdom she did whisper to me. She said, never be sad, honey, take it from me. You gotta live, you gotta give, and be the best you can be.
You gotta live, you gotta give, and be the best you can be.
Now you can waste away the hours like a fly on a dog, or spend your money when it's sunny and live life like a hog. But in the final decree, if you want your soul to be free, you gotta live, you gotta give, and be the best you can be.
You gotta live, you gotta give, and be the best you can be.
Oh, sweet Granny Rose, sha-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la, such a life she chose, sha-la-la-la, sha-la, and no matter what heartache came her way, she made the best of every day. So if you get up every morning with a smile on your face, you're sure to brighten up the world and find a happier place. Yes, every day is your gift. Take it from ROSC. If you want to bake the perfect cake, it's what you put in and not what you take. So live your life well, and baby, you'll see your life will be the best that it can be. You gotta live, you gotta give, and be the best you can be. Yeah.
Hooray. That was so beautiful, Joni.
Thank
And
you.
the sentiment is just heartwarming.
Thank you.
So at CBS Gala a couple of years ago, you presented an original Irving Berlin musical for our entertainment. And what was Grandma Rose's connection to that?
Okay, so I used to visit Grandma every year in December. And every time I went, Grandma would set up a day with her dear friend Ann Bierson. And Grandma and I would sing Irving Berlin songs with Ann playing the piano. Now it turns out that Ann was Irving Berlin's, I believe she was his piano player. She was definitely connected to Irving Berlin. I'm not sure if she helped with directing shows, but I know she played the piano for him. So here I was as a kid, not realizing this gift that I was being given of singing in harmony, all these amazing songs. So anyway, a few years ago, I was in synagogue with my parents at Temple Hillel in New York, and I was sitting in the seat right next to the yurtzeit lights, and all the lights are lit up, but there's one light that the sun is reflecting through the stained glass windows and shining on. It's all lit up, and it was Grandma's name. And I couldn't sleep that night. I'm like, oh man, I got to do something to some kind of a tribute to my grandmother creatively. I was haunted by it. I couldn't sleep. So I was thinking about Grandma, and then I remembered singing with her and Ann. And then it hit me that I needed to write something about Irving Berlin. That was my connection to Irving Berlin. And that was a subject that other people would be interested. I didn't know if they would be interested in Grandma's or Ann's life, but Irving Berlin. And it turns out that it was the 100th anniversary of God Bless America. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is meant to be. Well, it turns out I got beat to the punch. Other people wrote Irving Berlin books the same year. So they weren't taking that particular book. So I was like so bummed. And then it came time for the gala. And I was sitting around at a Permspiel cast party with our wonderful Spielers. And it hit me that I was asked to do something for the gala. And I'm like, what about an Irving Berlin musical? Because I did all this research for this book. So I had all my research. I put together a musical about Irving Berlin, all about his life. People in our congregation, there's so much talent in our congregation. They all came together to help me with this musical. And it was really an amazing evening. I was so happy. And it was just a wonderful night.
Thank you. Okay. And I know Grandma Rose had a favorite song,
Yes.
and you want to sing it for us.
Now, it's not Tootsie, Dad. That's the other one. But this one, I remember attending a lot of the events that she put on, and many of them were in December, and it was probably during Hanukkah, and they were putting on Hanukkah concerts and things like that. But she always sang this song, and I remember looking at the audience members, and their eyes were filling with tears, and that never left me. I felt it so much when Grandma sang it. No one could sing that song, not even Sophie Tucker could sing that song the way that Grandma sang it. And it's my Yiddish mama. And it goes like this. Of things I should be thankful for, I've had my goodly share. And as I sit here in the comforts of my cozy chair, my fancy takes me back to an East Side tenement. 3 flights in the rear to where my childhood days were spent. It wasn't much like paradise, but 'neath the dirt and all, there sat the sweetest angel, one who I fondly call my Yiddish mama. I need her more than ever now. My Yiddish mama, I long to kiss her aged brow. I long to hold her hand in mine as in days gone by, and ask her to forgive me for things I did to make her cry. So few were her pleasures, she never cared for fashion styles. Her jewels and her treasures, she found them in her baby's smiles. And I know that I owe what I am today to that dear little lady, so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama. Yiddish mama of mine.
Wow. Yes. I don't think I've ever heard the English words to that song before. And it's so moving. Thank you. Thank you for singing that.
I could have heard her sing it.
Yeah.
I never heard anyone sing it the way she sang it. It was so, I wish I could hear her sing it again. It was truly.
Well, some of Grandma Rose is coming through you, Joni.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know that besides singing that you're also a songwriter, and many of the songs that you've written are for Jewish audiences, including songs you wrote for Paul Zim, Pinellas County Jewish Day School, our congregation, and Jewish preschools and religious schools throughout the country. Most of your songs and children's books are both secular and Judaic and are based on Jewish values, including tzedakah, mitzvot, and tikkun olam. When my granddaughter Nava was at the Ahavat Shalom preschool, they used to sing one of your songs, I Give Tzedakah, on Friday mornings. Could you sing that for us?
Sure. Well, this song was recorded by Paul Zim. It's on his CD, It's Good to Be Jewish, and I Like It. But I decided a few years back to go into the studio. In fact, I made a I made a children's CD, but I've been working on children's music, Jewish children's music, for the past few years. I haven't had the CD completed yet, but I'm getting there. I have a Hanukkah one and I have a regular Judaic children's one. But one of the songs on there is called I Give Tzedakah. I decided to record it myself. And it goes like this. I give tzedakah every Friday before we celebrate Shabbat. I put in my coins with pride, and it feels so good inside to do a mitzvah and give tzedakah. I give tzedakah to help sick people and folks who need a helping hand. When I hear those coins go clink, it's no wonder that I think it's a mitzvah to give tzedakah. Clink, 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 I love that sound. There's so much love to give around. I give tzedakah for hungry children and to keep Israel safe and strong. It's a feeling of such joy for every girl and boy to do a mitzvah and give tzedakah. Let's do a mitzvah and give tzedakah.
So I'd like to ask you where you get the inspiration for your songwriting and your books, and what is the process that you use to go about this? Does it just come to you while you're asleep and you wake up in the morning and it's there? Or
Well,
what?
my husband will tell you that he catches me writing in the middle of the night. It drives him bonkers because something will hit me in the middle of the night. And if I don't get it out, I will forget it the next day. So yes, I definitely get inspiration in the middle of the night. But many times my inspiration has come from a whole host of places. When I first started out as a songwriter, I started writing about my friends and about boys and, all that kind of thing. But as I got older, a lot of things started changing in my life, including having children. And then it became very easy. Once I had my kids, which, hi kids, I know you're out there and so good to see you all. They had a huge, huge impact on my writing career because I started to write children's music. And that's when I realized how important it is to teach children values. Music is such a connection for everyone. When you think of memories, it comes from many memories are triggered with music. And I felt like if I can instill something other than the Barney songs into my kids and their friends, that I could teach them good values, which Barney did. He was amazing. But I feel like I had a responsibility. And I really think that's what happened is it became a responsibility for me to include good values, whether they be Jewish or not Jewish, just good, being kind. And many of them come from the 10 Commandments, including loving thy neighbor and tzedakah, even if it's in a secular book. So now I will tell you that I've had teachers come to me to ask me to write. So a lot of my educational songs and children's songs have come from teachers asking me to write songs for their classrooms. But the way that I started writing children's books is very different. My daughter, Sarah, hi, Sarah, was a Girl Scout. And I was her troop leader. And the girls decided, now you need to know, this was no ordinary Girl Scout troop. This Girl Scouts troop not only had my daughter Sarah in it, but Sam and Becca Shane were in there. And Sarah Miller was in that troop. And Marcia Shane was my cookie mom. So we have a connection to our congregation as well in that troop. It was a wonderful troop. But there were all different kinds of kids in that group, different religions, and they had different interests. And as all of us, we're all different and have our unique strengths and everything. And so each girl wanted to write a book to earn a badge. So I had a certain amount of books. You have to order it in bulk. And so there was enough for each Girl Scout, and there were 2 left over, one for the other troop leader and myself. I did not do well in language arts as a kid. My mom will tell you that. I never in a million years thought that I would become an author, but it all started with an idea because I was looking at my beautiful Girl Scouts and I realized they are a rainbow of friendship. They are so different from one another. And I just, that was the inspiration for that story. So it's actually dedicated to Girl Scout Troop 1262. But there's so many places to find inspiration. And if any of you are writers out there, you could just look in a newspaper. You can look up, a word in the dictionary. You can look on the news or a TV show or a movie. There are so many places to find inspiration, primarily though with your own life. That's like the greatest inspiration, is things that you that are important to you. So many of my books have come from things that I was dealing with in my life, and especially for children, things that I wanted to teach my children. So a lot of songs and my musicals later on came from there.
So you do a lot of musical book and author presentations across the country with your children's book.
Yeah.
And you came to my granddaughter Nava's preschool and read Rainbow of Friendship and taught them the friendship song. And then the class decided later that they wanted to use the friendship song in their end of the year program. And we invited you to come and listen to them sing. And so, you're right. Not just the book, but the music affects children. And in fact, I asked Nava if she remembered the song the other day, and she said she did.
By the way, you should know that one of my greatest pleasures as far as my career goes is to watch children perform my plays and musicals and hear them sing and know that it's making a difference in their lives. That for me is the greatest thing. And I had an experience watching Nava that was just, it just blew me away. I love that. I had a very interesting experience once. I wrote a musical that was called Recycle the Musical. And it was put on by a first grade class. And it's all about a wacky professor who pops in and takes these everyday kids who are complaining about recycling, and he pulls them out and takes them back to the 1950s where there was no recycling, and they learn all about that and so forth. But there was there were a set of parents in the class that were very upset because they didn't want their child to be in the show. They felt that he had learning disabilities. He had an aide with him in the classroom. They said he can't remember anything. It'll be humiliating for him. The teacher would get him to have to talk about himself and so forth. And they were very upset. And the teacher, who's absolutely wonderful, her name is Mrs. Krim, she said, I promise you, he's going to be okay. And the last night of that show, when I went to see that show, not only did that boy know his lines, he was the one who was feeding everybody their lines in the entire show. And his parents never thought he was capable of being able to remember something. And that changed my life. When I saw that happen, I'm like, you know what? This is what I need to do. I have to be able in some way to affect people out there and make a difference in their lives, because the children, that's our future. And a lot of these kids, not all kids are A students. And many kids learn. I was a rhythmic learner. I learned through music, like for me to remember how to spell Mississippi was Mississippi. I never could remember that. And in fact, I couldn't remember I was terrible in geography until I still kind of suck at geography, but one of my kids' classes, the teacher wanted me to write a song about the continents. I could never remember it. I could never remember the oceans. My memory retention wasn't great until I wrote it for these kids. And I wish I knew it when I was a kid. So I wrote, 7 continents are a part of this world we live in. 7 continents, now let's start and say them one by one. Oh, there is North America, South America, Europe and Asia too, Australia, Antarctica, Africa, now we're through. To this day, I can remember geography because of that song. I never could remember it as a kid. So I learned I was a rhythmic learner. But that's why I feel like it's very important that the arts are strong out there, because there are many children who are gifted, who are being shoved under the rug because they learn differently. So I feel that's a very, very important thing. And someday when I make a lot of money, no, but seriously, that's something I would really like to give to, because I know there are many, many people out there who are not able to reach their full potential because they don't learn the same as everybody else. So
I can't agree with you more. I taught gifted and kindergarten,
mhm.
and I wish I had that continent song because we were
Oh,
learning
I got the Four
geography.
Oceans too. I'm telling you, I've piggybacked paragraph songs, sentences, how to write sentences, all these things I couldn't do as a kid. I learned through my kids in their classrooms because the teachers
Wow.
needed a song. It was crazy.
Wow. So your most current book, Barnyard Bubby's Hanukkah, is a Hanukkah picture book that you co-wrote with Barbara Scharf. Barbara's on the call tonight. Hey, Barbara. Barbara moved to Pennsylvania this year, and we miss her terribly. And when Barbara was here in Pinellas, she was involved in a lot of theater. And of course, you and she co-wrote most of the Purim spiels, I think, that we did, which were amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about your book launch?
Absolutely. It's so great to see everyone. I miss you so much. And I wanted to show you this. Menorah Howard made this out of walnut. Since it's Hanukkah, I thought it was an opportune time to show you that. Anyway, Joni and I had the most memorable year during our tour, and living through this year with the pandemic, we miss performing for kids so much, and we appreciate it that much more. Our tour started in Tampa. The Tampa Bay Festival of Books was at the Glazer JCC, and we performed for about 300 people, and that was our start. Then we traveled to Toronto during an ice storm. Toronto is wonderful except for the ice storm, and we performed at several venues there. Then we were off to Pasadena, California, where we performed at their Children's Museum. We went to Reading, Pennsylvania, and we ended our tour in Boston at the Museum of Fine Arts. They have a festival of lights that is one of the largest Hanukkah celebrations in the country.
Wait, but we also got to meet amazing people. Don't forget.
Tell us about it, Joni.
we got to meet Bill Nye and
Yes.
Sasha Sagan, who was Carl Sagan's
California.
daughter. We were hanging out and hobnobbing with Stephen Sondheim's daughter. Leonard Bernstein's daughter. Like, it was crazy.
They
and
wouldn't leave us alone.
You would meet Barbara. They were treating us like
I know.
It was so much fun.
It
right?
was an amazing, amazing experience. Can you tell?
Right. So they recognized royalty when they saw it. Even if you were dressed up like Barnyard Bubby.
Oh, gosh.
So how did the two of you come together as a creative team? How did that begin?
Oh, Joni and I originally came together creatively in 2011 to write and produce our first original Purim spiel for CBS. Then one day in 2017.
Wait. The Purim spiel, for those of you who've seen it, was Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was based on that. And we wound up doing it again several years later, like 7 years later or something.
Because if you're anything like Joni and I, you wouldn't remember you even saw it the first time.
Oh, and I also want to mention that the year that we did, the second time we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Barbara's son was in the traveling show.
Yep, the
For that
National
show.
Tour. Absolutely.
And he was awesome. He was
Thanks for that plug.
Right.
Yes. So, well, anyway, in 2017, Joni was writing a children's picture book manuscript to enter a holiday contest. And she was stuck and asked me to help her. I was amazed and thrilled. And the rest is history.
Well, not really, because what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. What happened was I was really stuck, and I knew I wanted to write something. It was a Hanukkah. It was called a Ho 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 contest, but it had to do with the holidays. And so I knew I wanted to write something about a bubby. I just, for some reason, a bubby was in my head with latkes, something with bubby and latkes. And Barbara is an animal lover who really, like, her, so much of her life has revolved around animals and taking care of them. And she was a tech vet and like all these different things. And she's like, let's include animals. And then the next thing you know, we have this countdown story about animals leaving gifts for a barnyard bubby to make potato latkes. So Barbara was a huge, huge influence on that story. She was a major part of that story. And not only did we win the contest, but very soon after, we got picked up by Carbon Learner Publishing. I was trying to get into Carbon for many, many, many years, and I could never get anything signed. But when Barbara and I work together, it's true, Barbara. It's like we're a good team.
Oh, I love it.
Find a really good collaborator, and she and I, we just like feed off of each other.
He's my muse.
Well, my muse.
You're my muse.
You're each other's muse.
There you go.
Okay. So tell us how you went from Barnyard Bubby book to Barnyard Bubby musical presentation.
Because Joni and I are both entertainers, we decided to put together a Barnyard Bubby musical presentation featuring Joni's fabulous original songs, which we took on tour once our book was released.
So I know you were invited to this prestigious Jewish Book Council book pitch, which is where hundreds of authors pitch their books to representatives of Jewish organizations throughout the world over the course of 3 days. And they're looking for book fair authors. Can you tell us what happened there?
Wow. Okay. That was in New York City. That was amazing. It was for 3 days, like you said. There were hundreds of authors. A lot of the books were about Holocaust stories and tragic events that have happened in people's lives.
Immigration, people who came from difficult countries and family situations,
Home life.
a lot of heavy stuff.
Right. So there's all these representatives from the Jewish organizations from all over the world, and everyone, we are there dressed. Have you seen our Barnyard Bubby costumes?
Let's give you a hint. This is Cow.
This is Cal. Yeah. Okay, so Cal was there too, and we were the only ones dressed in costume, but we stayed composed, and it was our turn, and we did our pitch. We got a standing ovation. The moderator says that
Wait. Okay, wait a second. You have to realize something. Barbara was wearing a giant hat and a Barnyard Bubby apron and these funny shoes and the whole shebang, holding the cow. I'm dressed up in overalls with a bandana in my head. Everybody else is like basically wearing black and white at this event, okay? Barbara and I stood out like you can't believe. And when we get up there, they're really heavy, heavy subjects. We came after like 4 Holocaust stories. And then there we are, and we're singing. And it was crazy. It was just crazy, and it was very exciting. And when we ran out of there, because we both had to go to the bathroom, you're not allowed to leave until you get your turn done. And there were like 100 people before us. And we dashed out of there, and people were like waving at us, and it was hysterical.
So afterwards, there's a reception, and people gravitated toward us. Please come to our areas and perform this. They just loved it, and we were so happy and had the best time. I think we went to Central Park in our costumes afterwards.
We did.
Yeah. But in New York City,
it was, and mind you, this is right after I had a very serious surgery.
Oh,
and I didn't know if I was going to be able to attend. I didn't know what shape I was in.
But I was so nervous about this trip. So Joni has her surgery. I'm like, okay, so you're fine, right?
And I didn't know
And
if I'd
she
be
was
able to take
fine.
it. And it was money.
It was the next day. You're okay, right? We're going. Right? I mean, I think I said, how are you? Do you need some chicken soup or something like that? But
we survived it. And not only that,
it
but it
worked.
really helped me heal, because I was like, okay, if I could do that, I could do anything. I could get through this, because
I
that
know.
was
It's
terrifying.
true. We did a lot that we didn't think we could do.
We really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you sing,
You're the best.
You are.
would you sing Little Lotkie for us?
Sure. This is the song that Barbara and I presented. Now, again, remember, it's a very heavy room. It's a very dark room at this point. So Barbara and I get up there dressed in our outfits with our cow. In fact, I'm going to hold cow as we sing. Normally, Barbara holds the cow. She's Barnyard Bubby. So
I'm cowless.
the picture that I'm Barbara. Okay. And we also sang this song in harmony, but unfortunately it doesn't come out well on Zoom, the harmonies, but if you can, picture it in harmony together. So we did the whole song in harmony. So here we go. Little Latka, lovely little Latka, sizzling in a pan.
Must I wait? Oh, how I love potato latkes in my hand.
One or two will surely do to make my world so bright. Oh, how I love
to eat latkes on this tasty Hanukkah night.
Oh, how I love to eat latkes on this tasty Hanukkah night.
Thank you. I can't even imagine.
Oh.
We should all stand up and give you the standing ovation.
Ah,
So Joni, I know that you directed several Hanukkah concerts for the religious school and wrote original songs, and one of these songs is Kinder. We started with My Yiddish Mama, and we're gonna end with Kinder. So can you tell us what brought that song about? What made you want to write that?
Sure. So first of all, I do not know Yiddish at all. I do not know Yiddish. The only thing I knew about Yiddish was there was a Klein saying in the family of Klein's kleine Kinderlach. That was one thing. So I knew it meant Klein's little children. And then I remember there was the word Freilach, which meant beautiful. And a Shana Madela, which was beautiful girl, right? So and I knew, I'd catch a few little Yiddish words here and there, but I didn't know Yiddish. But there was something about the Yiddish language and the Yiddish music that I feel is very heartfelt of the Jewish people. I felt like it was a connection to me and my ancestors, even though I didn't understand Yiddish. When I heard the music, it was like, when you go to a wedding and they start playing the different songs, and all of a sudden you got to run in to do the hora. And, there's something about that music. It's like a connection to our ancestors. It's just such a strong connection for me, particularly with the music. So I knew I wanted to write a Yiddish song, but I didn't know Yiddish. So I spoke to some people who I knew did know Yiddish, and I came up with the idea of how can I create a song with a few words that I know. So I figured children, and it's going to be a Hanukkah song. So they're dancing around the menorah, dancing joyfully, Freilich. And then children, beautiful little children, Shana Madela, Shana. And that's how the Yiddish song came about. So that's how I came up with the song Kinder. Or would you like to hear it, Claire?
Yes, I'd like to hear.
Okay. All right. So this is the final song of the night. And I want to dedicate this song to my children, to all the children who I've taught throughout the years, who have had such an impact on my life. They've helped me grow as a person, and to children everywhere, because as I said before, they are our future. And so I dedicate this song to them, and may they continue to blossom and grow and bring us all a beautiful world. May we continue to do good things and carry on good things throughout our lives. And it's called Kinder. Yeah.
Wait, I just want to tell everybody to unmute themselves, because there's a chorus in this song that we can all sing. And when Joni starts to sing it, you'll hear it. It's like a nagun.
It's a lie, die, 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 die. So all you have to do is say lie, die, 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 die. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
Kinder, Kinder, Tanzen around the menorah, Kinder, Kinder, tanzen mit Freilichkeit, ja, ja, nein, mit Freilich, Kinder, Kinder, schöne kleine Kinderlach,
I love it. Our son.
tanzen mit Freilichkeit, ja, 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 Oh, it's so good to see my children singing.
I know. That was wonderful. And I know that your children are musical and artistic as well and represent you well in the world, Joni. That was really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you and Barbara so much for sharing with us tonight. And I know we weren't going to have any questions, but if someone has one, just put your hand up. Does anybody have a question for Joni?
Claire, this is Erica. I would love if Joni's parents might want to. I was just watching them almost more than Joni, just the pride and, you know, just the tears. There was
Yes.
something going on. If you guys want to say something, I know you're unmuted. You're welcome to say something to Joni or all of us.
You do.
I feel blessed that Joni's our daughter. And I feel blessed that my other children too are part of us. I don't call myself lucky, I call myself blessed. And coming down to meet all our friends at CBS has been the most fabulous, fabulous thing that could happen to us once we came out of New York. And I'm so grateful to all of you for helping Joni to do the things that she loves to help other people. And each of you have helped her, from Barbara to Claire to Erica to all of you. You've been a blessing, and thank you so much for including us with everything.
And it is our pleasure. You know, I'm much older than Joni, but I have to say that Joni's probably, we have a very soul connection, shall we say. And Barbara also. And I feel the way Ellie does. My life is so rich because of you all. And I mean that sincerely from my heart. So thank you all for attending this event.
Thank you.
And we still have a lot of more programming for you during the week. And Barbara, you have something you want to say?
You're all welcome to Malvern, Pennsylvania. I have a tiny house with lots of room right near beautiful parks. I wish you all a joyous Hanukkah, and it's great to be with you all. And look, Jack.
He's not the one.
Can't have too many masks nowadays, right?
Right.
Hag Sameach, everybody.
Claire.
And
Thank you, Claire. Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Erica, for making this possible.
Thank you, Erica. And Claire. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.